Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins. The first 1984 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. The 1984 Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint is generally considered a common coin, but there are still factors that make some of these coins more valuable than others. In circulated condition, like you might find in pocket change, the 1984 P nickel isn't worth much above its face value. However, in uncirculated or mint condition, things start to get more interesting. Mint state or MS coins are graded on a scale from 60 to 70. For example, a 1984 Jefferson nickel with an MS65 grade is relatively high and can fetch a few dollars, sometimes even $10 or $15. Now, if you've got an error coin, that's a different story altogether. 1984 PH Jefferson nickels with mint errors like off-center strikes or double dies can command a premium, with some selling for over $100 or even more depending on the error. To sum it up, while most 1984 P Jefferson nickels won't make you rich, a high-grade or error coin can be worth a nice little chunk of change, so keep an eye out when you're going through your pocket change or coin collection.
The 1965 Jefferson nickel specifically, what it's worth in dirty, circulated condition in today's market. First, let's talk a little about the 1965 Jefferson nickel itself. This coin was part of a transitional period in U.S. minting history. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was moving away from silver in its coins due to a silver shortage, which makes some coins from this era a bit more collectible. The 1965 Jefferson nickel, though made from a copper-nickel alloy, is known for its durability, meaning many are still in circulation today. But the condition of these coins can vary greatly from pristine mint state to those that are worn and dirty from years of use. So what about a dirty, circulated 1965 Jefferson nickel? In most cases, this coin will be worth its face value just 5 cents if it's heavily worn and lacking any notable minting errors or special features. However, the story changes if the coin has any errors. There are collectors out there who pay more for coins that have die cracks, double die errors, or other rare minting mistakes, even if the coin is in poor condition. For example, a 1965 Jefferson nickel with a notable die crack or a misstrike could fetch anywhere between $5 to $50, depending on the severity of the error and the interest from collectors. Now, let's talk about auctions and sales. Most 1965 Jefferson nickels in dirty condition won't attract much attention from collectors unless there's something particularly special about the coin. But in rare cases, if the coin is part of a bulk sale or is in slightly better condition than expected, it can still sell for a couple of dollars. Some of these dirty nickels have been known to fetch anywhere between $0.50 and $2 on online platforms like eBay or through coin dealers. Now, keep in mind that coins in extremely dirty or corroded condition may not even be worth selling unless they have those key error details or are rare in some other way. It's all about what makes that particular coin stand out from the millions of others minted in 1965. Next up, the 1984 Jefferson nickel with P mint mark, even in dirty or circulated condition. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The 1984 nickel with a P mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. While most of these coins are common, certain factors like condition, rarity, and errors can make them worth much more. Now let's get into what you're here for the value of the 1984 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. If your coin is in average, circulated condition meaning it has noticeable wear and tear, or is even a little dirty, it's generally worth around 5 to 10 cents. That's right, it's still just pocket change. Errors like off-center strikes, double die obverses, or die cracks can significantly increase a coin's value. These errors turn ordinary coins into collectibles that can fetch anywhere from $5 to $50, depending on the severity and type of error. In some rare cases, Jefferson nickels with major errors have sold for $100 or more. So what's the current market like for these 1984 Jefferson nickels with a P mint mark? In today's market, if you're selling a standard dirty, circulated nickel, you'll probably get a few cents over face value. However, rare errors or coins in uncirculated condition can fetch a higher price, with error coins occasionally selling for over $50 on auction sites like eBay.
Next up, the most intriguing coins in U.S. history, the 1972 with D mint mark Jefferson nickel. Before we get to the values, here's some quick background on the Jefferson nickel. This series has been around since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag and honors Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with Monticello on the reverse. In 1972, over 250 million of these coins were struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the iconic D Mint mark. So what makes certain 1972 with D Jefferson Nickels stand out in value? It mainly comes down to three factors: condition, demand, and rarity. For coins like this, even a small difference in condition can mean big changes in price. Although not rare by mintage numbers, high-grade specimens and certain varieties make this nickel especially sought after. For collectors, coin grading is key to determining value. A 1972 D nickel in fine condition shows some wear but has clearly visible details on Jefferson's face, the lettering, and Monticello. Collectors are generally looking for high-grade coins, but even a fine-conditioned coin can bring a decent price, especially if the coin has well-preserved details. Now let's talk about value. In today's market, a 1972 with D Jefferson nickel in fine condition is typically valued between 10 cents to 50 cents. Yes, that's 2 to 10 times its face value. However, if it has strong detail for its grade, a collector might pay even more. As condition improves, prices can jump significantly, with high-grade examples reaching values well above $20. So, should you cash in now or hold on to your 1972 WHD? If it's in average fine condition, its value might not skyrocket, but higher grades or full steps coins could continue appreciating as collectors seek to complete Jefferson nickel sets. If you're in it for the long haul, holding on to a well-preserved example might be worth it.
Next up, the 1992 Jefferson nickel with a P mint mark on the obverse side, even in dirty condition. Before we get into the details, let's take a quick look at the history of the Jefferson nickel. First minted in 1938, the nickel is a staple of U.S. coinage, featuring President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side. This design has stayed largely unchanged for decades, and collectors around the world are always on the hunt for rare variations. Now, what makes the 1992 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark so special? The P represents the Philadelphia Mint, and it's placed on the obverse side of the coin. While this year might not seem like a big deal to some, certain variations and conditions of this nickel are highly sought after by collectors. And yes, even coins in less than perfect, dirty condition can still carry significant value. So, how much is a 1992 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark worth in dirty condition today? Typically, these coins range from $2 to $10 depending on the level of wear and overall appeal. However, rarer varieties, like those with strong strikes or unique errors, can fetch as much as $100 or more, even if they're in dirty or circulated condition. When valuing dirty or worn coins, it's important to consider a few factors. First, check the overall legibility of the design. If major details like Jefferson's face or Monticello on the reverse are still visible, that can increase the value. Second, look for any potential errors or unique features, such as die cracks or misprints. These can dramatically raise the coin's worth. If you've got one of these 1992 P Mint Jefferson nickels in your collection and you're thinking about selling, consider auction sites like eBay, professional coin dealers, or even coin shows. Clean it lightly, but don't overdo it. Sometimes the dirty patina adds to its charm for collectors. Next up, the 1939 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark in good condition. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The 1939 series is especially popular among collectors, and the one we're talking about today is the Philadelphia minted version, which has no mint mark. So, what makes the 1939 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark valuable? It comes down to two things: rarity and condition. In good condition, meaning some wear but all major details visible, this nickel can still hold value. When we say good condition, we're usually referring to coins that are graded anywhere between G4 and VF20. The key here is how much of the design is still intact, especially the details on Monticello and Jefferson's profile. Collectors love coins where the steps on Monticello are still visible. So, what's the market value for these coins today? If you've got a 1939 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark in good condition, you could be looking at a value between $0.50 and $3. Not a fortune, but it's definitely more than its face value. For coins in higher grades, like extremely fine or uncirculated, the price can jump anywhere from $10 to $50 or more, depending on the quality. But here's the catch: if you have a Jefferson nickel in uncirculated or mint state condition, the value can skyrocket. Coins with perfect details and little to no wear can go for as much as $100 to $200 in today's market, especially if they have full steps on Monticello. These coins are rare and collectors are willing to pay a premium.
Next up, valuable Jefferson nickel from the 1990s, the 1995 with D in extra fine condition. So, let's talk about the 1995 D Jefferson nickel. These were minted in Denver, and since it's relatively recent, many of these coins are still in circulation. You might even have one in your pocket right now. But finding one in extra fine or better condition can add quite a bit to its value. When it comes to grading, an extra fine or XF condition coin has only light wear. You'll still see most of the details in Jefferson's hair and the Monticello building. These details are key for collectors and can make or break the coin's value. Now for the big question. How much is a 1995 D Jefferson nickel in XF condition worth? On today's market, an extra fine 1995 D Jefferson nickel can sell for around 25 cents to $1, depending on demand and where you're selling it. But if you have one in even higher condition, like AU or MS, prices can go up significantly. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but remember that these coins are still relatively common. If you're a collector, adding one in XF condition to your set is a fantastic way to build your Jefferson nickel collection. Plus, higher condition coins could become more valuable in the future. Next up, the 1971 with D mint mark Jefferson nickel in extremely fine condition. The Jefferson nickel was introduced back in 1938, and for over 80 years, it's remained a staple in American pocket change. The 1971 D nickel, minted in Denver, may not be a rare date, but certain factors including its condition make it desirable among collectors. Now, let's talk about the condition. When we say a coin is in extremely fine or EF condition, we're talking about a coin with light wear on the high points. For a 1971 D nickel, that means Jefferson's hair and Monticello should still show good detail, but might have slight wear. This level of preservation makes a difference in its value. While 1971 D nickels are generally common, certain traits can add value. For instance, nickels with minting errors like double D strikes, misplaced mint marks, or dramatic die cracks can sell for much higher prices. So, if you find one with any of these errors, it's worth more than just face value. So, what is a 1971 D nickel in extremely fine condition worth today? Based on recent market data, a standard 1971 D nickel without any major errors in EF condition typically sells for around 10 to 25 cents, not a fortune, but more than face value. However, if you have one with unique mint errors, values can jump dramatically, sometimes reaching $20 or even higher in certain auctions. If you're hunting for valuable 1971 nickels, here are a few tips. First, always inspect your coins with a magnifying glass to catch those fine details. Second, research any unique features you find that could add serious value. Lastly, consider grading any potentially valuable pieces to maximize their sale potential. Next up, the 1985 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. The 1985 Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark. Over 600 million of these nickels were produced, making them fairly common in circulation. However, condition plays a huge role in determining the value of this coin. Now, when it comes to value, the first thing to understand is the difference between a coin in good condition and one in mint state. A nickel that has been heavily circulated will be classified as good condition, meaning it's worn down but still recognizable. In this state, a 1985 Jefferson nickel with a P mint mark is typically worth only face value minus 5 cents. But for coins that have been well preserved, especially those in higher grades like mint state MS65 and up, the value can increase significantly. In these conditions, the coin's sharp details and original luster make it attractive to collectors. A mint state 1985 Jefferson nickel with a P mint mark could be worth anywhere from $10 to $50 or even more, depending on the grade. So, if you're a collector or just someone who enjoys checking your change, keep an eye out for these 1985 Jefferson nickels.
While many won't be worth much in circulated condition, those higher grade examples can bring a nice return if you're lucky enough to find one.
Next up, the 1965 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. But here's the twist. We're talking about those coins in dirty or heavily circulated condition. Let's start with a little background. The 1965 Jefferson nickel was made during a transitional period in the US Mint. You'll notice these coins don't have a mint mark because at that time the mint wanted to discourage hoarding and speculation. They were primarily produced in Philadelphia, and around 136 million of them were made that year. Now let's talk about value. Coins in dirty or worn-out condition typically don't hold as much value as pristine examples. Collectors usually look for coins with minimal wear and strong details. However, there are exceptions, especially if there are any unique errors or if the coin has certain high-grade characteristics that can shine through even with wear. But, in general, if you have a heavily circulated 1965 Jefferson nickel, here's what you can expect. On today's market, a 1965 Jefferson nickel in heavily circulated or dirty condition typically sells for around 5 to 15 cents. Yeah, I know that's not much of a jump from face value, but there are cases where they might go for a bit more. If you have one in slightly better condition, say with more visible details, you might see them sell between 50 cents and $1. It's not a huge profit. Oh, I don't know, but now here's where it can get interesting. Even in circulated condition, look out for any potential errors. Some 1965 Jefferson nickels can have small die errors, like doubled dies or off-center strikes. Error coins can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to over $100, depending on rarity and demand, even if they're worn out. So, should you keep that dirty 1965 nickel? Well, if it's in poor condition, it's probably best as part of a collection or pocket change. But if you're lucky enough to spot an error or unique characteristic, it might be worth holding on to or getting appraised. Next up, US coinage the 2000 with P Mint mark Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in US currency since 1938, featuring our third president on the obverse. The 2000p or Philadelphia Mint nickel holds a special place in recent coinage due to its rarity in certain conditions. While many coins from the year 2000 are common, there are select high-quality coins that carry added value, and we'll get to that shortly. First, what exactly should collectors be on the lookout for? When it comes to value, the condition of the coin is everything. A coin graded as fine condition won't have the sharpest details, but it should still have a clear profile of Jefferson and distinct features. And don't forget the all-important P mint mark on the obverse side, indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, let's talk about market value. In fine condition, the 2000p Jefferson nickel doesn't fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars like some older or error nickels, but it's still worth more than face value. As of today's market, a 2000p Jefferson nickel in fine condition is worth around 15 to 30 cents. While this might not sound like a huge amount, it's still a nice profit if you find a few of them lying around. While the 2000 with P Jefferson nickel in fine condition might not be a jackpot, its value could increase over time. With fewer high-quality nickels in circulation each year, coins like this could eventually become harder to find, potentially driving up their value. So, it's worth holding on to those coins just in case.
Next up, the 1964 no mint mark version. But not just any 1964 nickel, we're talking about those found in black, dirty condition. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, and it has since become one of the most common coins in US circulation. But the 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickel stands out for a few reasons. First, 1964 was a huge mintage year with over 1 billion nickels produced at the Philadelphia Mint, hence no mint mark. So what about black or dirty nickels? Some older nickels, especially those stored improperly or exposed to harsh conditions, develop a dark, almost black tarnish over time. But here's the thing when it comes to coin value. Collectors typically prefer coins in pristine or at least uncirculated condition. Coins with discoloration or heavy wear usually aren't worth much. So, let's talk numbers. In 2024, the average circulated 1964 no mint mark nickel in dirty or poor condition typically sells for about 5 to 10 cents, far below its face value. That's right. Unless the coin has some sort of rare error or it's in a much better condition than it appears, most blackened 1964 nickels are worth very little to collectors. The black shade, while interesting, doesn't add any value unless it's tied to a rare minting error. But don't get discouraged just yet. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels with no mint mark are worth more if they have certain errors. Look out for die cracks, double die obverse or reverse, or any off-center strikes. These error coins, even in circulated condition, can fetch anywhere from $50 to $500, depending on the severity of the error.
Next up, the 1969 Jefferson nickel with the Denver mint mark, or the D mint mark, especially in extra fine condition. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938 and is still being produced today. But not every Jefferson nickel is the same. Some years and mint marks make them highly collectible, and that's where the 1969 D comes into play. In fact, any nickel minted with a D mark comes from the Denver Mint. So why is the 1969 D Jefferson nickel special? First, it wasn't minted in huge numbers like other years, which already adds some scarcity. Secondly, the quality of coins produced in 1969 at the Denver Mint was particularly good, meaning collectors are more likely to find examples in higher grades, like extra fine. And, for collectors, quality matters. Higher grade coins always fetch a higher prices. Now let's talk value. If you've got a 1969 with D Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition, you're looking at a value between 75 cents and $2 in today's market. While that might not sound like a huge jump, it's a good return for a coin that's face value is only 5 cents. And this is the range just for X-grade coins. If you find one in even higher conditions, like almost uncirculated or mint state, you're looking at even better value. So how do you know if your 1969 with D Jefferson nickel is in extra fine condition? Look for clear details, especially on Thomas Jefferson's hair and the Monticello building on the reverse side. An XF-grade coin will show only slight wear, mainly on the highest points of the coin. If your nickel shows more significant wear or lacks detail, it may be in a lower grade. While the 1969 D may not be the rarest Jefferson nickel out there, its value in XF condition makes it a nice collectible piece. And remember, certain coins from this series, especially those with errors or varieties, can go for much more.
Next up, the 1973 no mint mark Jefferson nickel, especially in very fine condition. First, let's quickly recap the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the Buffalo nickel, featuring a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The nickel has had a long run, but today we're focusing on the 1973 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. Coins without mint marks are struck at the Philadelphia Mint. You might be wondering, what's the deal with the missing mint mark? Well, 1973 nickels struck in Philadelphia didn't carry a mint mark. So when you see a 1973 nickel without one, it's just a regular Philly Mint issue. Now, what about condition? In very fine condition, the details of Jefferson's hair and Monticello are still visible but slightly worn. This isn't a rare condition, but it's a solid grade for a coin that's been in circulation for decades. So how much is this 1973 no mint mark Jefferson nickel worth in very fine condition? In today's market, prices can vary slightly, but generally you're looking at a value between 10 to 50 cents. These nickels aren't considered rare or highly valuable because millions were minted, but they are still sought after by collectors for their historical significance. Why so low? Well, the Jefferson nickel series, especially from the 70s, isn't known for high-value coins unless you're talking about an error or an exceptionally high-grade example, like mint state or proof coins. In circulated conditions, like very fine, these coins are common. So, should you hold on to your 1973 no mint mark nickel in very fine condition? Absolutely. While it might not make you rich, it's still a piece of American history and a great addition to any collection. Plus, you never know what the future market might bring. Next up, the 1988 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. Stick around to find out just how much these coins can be worth in today's market. Alright, so let's start with a quick history. The Jefferson nickel, as you may know, has been in circulation since 1938. But today we're focusing on the 1988 edition from the Philadelphia Mint denoted by the P mint mark. At first glance, it may look like any other 5-cent piece, but there's more to the story when it comes to its value in 2024. The 1988 Jefferson nickel isn't known for any major minting errors or low mintage numbers, but collectors have shown increasing interest in this coin due to its condition. While most of these nickels are common and worth only face value, certain high-quality examples, especially those graded in good or better condition, can fetch a surprising amount at auction. Fine to extremely fine XF40 to a U58, a step up in quality. Coins with sharper details and less wear are valued anywhere from $1 to $3. So, while the 1988 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark might not be a rarity in terms of mintage, condition is everything. If you have one in exceptional condition, it could be worth more than just pocket change. Keep your eyes peeled for those high-grade coins. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you in the next video.